In this video, we'll be looking at question 1.3 from 5CO02. You should have read the scenario and know that this question is asking you to explain the core principles of critical thinking and discuss how you'd apply them, both to your own ideas and to those of others, to support objective, rational debate in the organization. Before we dive into the approach, I need to remind you that this video provides general guidance on how to tackle this type of question. It doesn't give you the answers. You'll need to do your own research, analysis, and critical thinking to develop a strong response. With that said, let's walk through how to approach this step by step. First up, it's essential to really understand what the question is asking. Start by spotting the command verb. Here, it's explain. That means you'll need to provide a clear, detailed account of the main principles, not just list or describe them. Take a close look at the specific terms in the question, like critical thinking, objective and rational debate, and application. You're being asked to cover both the principles and how they can actually be used in the scenario, so don't get sidetracked with unrelated examples or theory that doesn't connect to the case study. Now let's talk about going beyond just description. You don't want to simply say what critical thinking is. You'll need to judge and evaluate how well each principle helps achieve objective and rational debate. For example, you might say a certain approach is particularly effective or potentially problematic in this context. Think about whether applying a principle helps reduce bias, improves decision-making, or clarifies evidence. Don't just state your opinions. Justify them with reasoning and compare different approaches if it makes sense. Ask yourself, does this principle actually support the kind of debate the organization needs? Why or why not? When you're planning your answer, you could start with a quick intro, maybe a sentence or two, about why critical thinking is so important for the organization, especially if the scenario highlights issues like outdated practices or the need for more evidence-based approaches. Then, break your main analysis into 2 or 3 sections. First, outline and briefly explain the key principles of critical thinking, things like objectivity, checking validity, and being aware of bias. Next, talk about how you'd actually apply these principles to your own and others' ideas in the scenario. Use examples that fit the case study, maybe about how people respond to change or rely on certain processes. If you want, you can add a short section on the challenges or limitations you might face when applying these principles in practice. Wrap up with a clear conclusion that sums up how critical thinking underpins more effective, evidence-based debate in the organization. Each paragraph should make a point, back it up with theory or a scenario detail, explain why it matters, and always link back to what the question's asking. That way, you stay focused and relevant. You'll also want to keep the assessment criteria front of mind as you write. Make sure you're tackling things like objective rational thinking, well-reasoned argument, checking validity, awareness of bias, clarity of terminology, separating fact from opinion, and so on. You don't have to cover every single one, but pick the ones that are most relevant to the organization's needs in the scenario. For each principle, evaluate how it helps with decision-making and the quality of debate. When it comes to sources, choose 2 or 3 solid academic references that deal directly with critical thinking, evidence-based practice, or cognitive bias. Use them to back up specific points, paraphrase to show you understand the material, and reference them properly using Harvard style. Only include a reference if it actually supports your argument. Don't just add citations for the sake of it. It's really important to connect theory to the scenario. Use examples from the case study, like any resistance to change or reliance on outdated methods, to show how applying critical thinking principles could actually address those issues. Explain how the theory either supports what's happening or highlights where things are going wrong in the organization. If you're aiming for top marks, remember, depth over breadth. Analyze a few key principles in detail, link them directly to the scenario, use your sources wisely, and don't shy away from discussing complexities or limitations. Balanced, well-reasoned judgments will always stand out. Finally, keep your writing clear and concise. Focus on what matters. Make sure each paragraph has a purpose and directly answers the question. Avoid repeating yourself or adding unnecessary details. And here's a tip: read your answer aloud. If it sounds clear and makes sense, you're on the right track. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the other videos in this series for more guidance on 5CO02. Thanks for watching.